Alrighty, morning everyone, and welcome back to another beautiful video on this beautiful channel on another beautiful day. In today's video, I want to talk to you about exactly why and how silver will be replaced in certain industries, because I did a very popular video about that like a week ago, and I've got a lot of comments that make sense and a lot of comments that don't make any sense at all, so I want to talk about those today, both of them actually. And I just wrote down a couple of points that I got from the comments and I want to specifically talk about that so that it's crystal clear what I meant in this video, because there were a lot of misunderstandings and stuff like that. So we are gonna do that today. And yeah, I hope it's going to be interesting. Yeah, I'll do my best, but can't promise anything, as always. First of all, we're going to take a look at the coins that I brought for you today, because it's actually quite some cool stuff. This is an Australian emu from the year of 2021. Really beautiful coin. I really love the Australian emu series. And I actually don't have the 2022 version yet, which is unfortunate. Gotta get that at some point, but oh well. This one, very beautiful coin from the last unboxing. This is a 2022 Australian wedge-tailed eagle. Really beautiful coin. The Perthman always does the greatest design work ever. Continuing on with a 2-ounce Somalia elephant. Really beautiful coin. Unfortunately, they have got some issues with milk spots, but this one apparently doesn't. It's a very, very mirror-polished coin, but it still doesn't have a single spot, which I really do like, I gotta admit. And the last coin is a 1-ounce Australian, yeah, not Australian, of course, African, but whatever, you don't really say that. It's a 1-ounce Krugerrand and really beautiful gold coin or round, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't really matter. It's very nice and very good for like stacking purposes, right? Right. So let's start with silver getting replaced. So, the last video was a bit controversial, I do realize that, but at the end of the day, there is a lot of stuff that you gotta understand about that, and it's definitely not that I'm saying, oh, please don't buy silver anymore, because it's definitely gonna, whatever, disappear from the market. That's bullshit. I mean, you all know that. I'm not saying that, because I like silver, actually. But still, there is some stuff that you gotta understand. I'm sorry about it, but it's just is what it is. So let's just not be angry about it and try to look at it a little bit more objectively, because at the end of the day, it's just a metal. It's not your kid, okay? So let's just take a step back and take a look at some points that some people made. And then we can maybe determine whether or not silver will get, well, it definitely will get replaced, I can tell you that, but in which extent it will. So let's go ahead and get started. So first of all, I wanted to go over the whole solar panel controversy a little bit more, because I do realize that over in America and stuff like that, it's not really done in a very nice way, meaning that a lot of these solar panels are just like scattered around the landscape and aren't really used in the way they are intended to be used, which is on rooftops. Over here, they are on rooftops, they are just standing around on rooftops. You barely have any open field solar farms over here. I do realize that that is a problem in America, and I actually think that that is a problem, and I think it's unnecessarily stupid, because you already have roofs. Just put them on there. Like, why would you just pile them all into nature? There's no reason for that. So I do realize that people are upset about that, and I agree. That is not nice, and it's not supposed to be like that, in my opinion. I don't know why you would do it like that. Someone probably decided that it was a good idea, but I can tell you one thing, it's not. Because there's not that much nature left that we can just, plow it full of solar panels. It just doesn't make any sense when you've got roofs everywhere that are just doing legit nothing. Besides, like, keeping the rain over your head. But, like, no one looks at roofs, ever. Might as well just put solar panels on them. And every house can then produce its own electricity. That's another thing that people said, like, they don't last very long. Well, they do, actually. The ones that we have here last between 30 and 35 years. And that's not the point when they break, that's the point when they lose a good chunk of their efficiency. They break, they possibly break at that point, but not all of them do. And maybe none of them do, but they definitely lose some efficiency. That's the main problem of that. So you got to keep that in mind. But that's today. Like 5 or 10 years ago, they only lasted for like 10 or 15 years. So you can imagine how long they will last in 5 or 10 years from now, right? So this is definitely a viable option for producing electricity in the future, because one household does not need more than one roof full of solar panels to supply every bit of electricity needed for the entire year. So, in my opinion, viable option. I get that some people don't like the battery stuff, and I agree with that as well, because the way we produce batteries at the moment is not good. Right? I think we can all agree on that. It uses a lot of very, very rare resources that you can't continue to use in the future. And it's also very bad for the environment where these resources are harvested, mined, rather. So there are definitely problems with that, but it's a very new industry, and we all have to realize that there are always problems with very new industries. That's just the way it is. So I definitely agree on all of these points, but it's just something that we gotta work on. If we don't do that, well, then it's shit. But if we do, good. So now, the main issue, the replacement of silver. Many people have written in the comments that is absolutely impossible, that they have been looking for something to replace silver with for years and they couldn't find anything, and yada yada yada. Well, I've said it before, right? I've said it in the original video, but I'll say it again, and I hope that it's as clear as possible. That might be true. There might not be something today that can be used for that. I do agree with that. There isn't, right? You can't replace it right now. That's impossible. But the point is not that it's not possible right now. The point is that it has to be possible in the future. Otherwise, these industries that are relying on silver, will go down. All of them. Not only the solar industry, all of them. Because silver is such a rare metal that you cannot use it for all of that. I don't know how much clearer I can say it, but that's the clearest I think it can be. If we don't find a solution for that, these industries are going to go down. And you might also realize that that is not a bad thing for the silver price. And also not a bad thing in general for silver. Not necessarily, at least. Because if we get to that point where we are forced to change silver to something else in many products, of course, silver is then gonna still be in very high demand, because otherwise you wouldn't change it, right? I think we all realize that. If you don't have to change something, you don't do that. Because silver is the best fit. That is definitely something that many people also said in the comments. Silver is the best fit for solar panels. It is. There's no better metal for that. There's no better metal for that, period. At least not from the metals that we know. And we are not only looking at the metals that we know from our planet, we are looking at the metals that we knew from the whole universe. There might be some other metals scattered around somewhere, but that's very unlikely because it got distributed, pretty evenly. So from the metals that we know, silver is the best one available for that. Like, period. Regardless of price or anything, silver is the best one. So replacing that is not easy, of course. Copper is something that is talked about. Another thing that people then wrote in the comments is, well, then we're going to get a shortage of copper. No, I really don't think that's going to be the case. Why? Well, because we produce around 200 times the amount of copper every year than we produce silver. So I think you can probably imagine that a shortage of copper is much less likely than a shortage of silver. So there's that. And besides that, it is possible that you could maybe just increase or decrease the amount of silver used in solar panels by just supplementing it with copper. But I've said it before, I'll say it again, this is all just speculation. We don't have a solution yet for that. All I'm saying is that we need one, because silver is a very rare metal and it cannot be used for all of these uses in the future. That's it. No need to get angry about that or anything, that's just it. One person also told me that I'm just talking complete bullcrap and that he blocked me. Which, I'm sorry about. I'm sorry to tell you, mate, but this is my channel. You can't really block me on my channel. I could block you, which I didn't do. You can still write a comment if you want to, but I think I just wanted to quickly tell you can't block me on my channel. That's not really how it works. Just in case you were curious about that, there you go. But you can still write comments because I didn't block you, because they don't. Why would I? Another thing that people love to say is that I don't really get to the point of these videos. And, I actually have to agree. I don't. Because there is no point to these videos. There is no distinct point in this video where I get to something and then, that's what you all have to believe. These are just my thoughts. If you don't like my thoughts, go ahead and think your own thoughts. I don't care about that. Thoughts are something that everyone can have and that everyone should have. And if you don't like my thoughts, go ahead and have your own ones. But I'm not here to tell you what to think. I'm not here to whatever build your opinion. I'm just stating what I think is going to be the case in the future. And if you don't want to believe that, that's fine, right? I don't necessarily need that. I only make these videos for fun. So if you want to listen to what I have got to say, you can of course do that. I'll be very happy about that. But if you don't want to, that's totally fine. But I still won't get to some specific point because these are just my thoughts. And you know, if you've ever had thoughts yourself, you might already know that these don't really have a point. They're just thoughts. They come, they go, but they don't have a point. Another very important thing, of course, is recycling. And some people in the comments already talked about that. Can you recycle all of the silver in solar panels and maybe just reuse it into solar panels, and then we wouldn't have an issue with silver? A very theoretical yes to that. Of course, if we had enough silver to supply the world with solar panels, then we could just cycle them through and recycle that stuff, which is something that you can't do indefinitely because you're always gonna lose some silver. But that is a theoretical yes. The problem is that we don't even have enough silver for that. We don't have enough silver to supply the world with solar panels. So theoretical yes, practical no. That is not possible. At the moment, most solar panels aren't even recycled. They're just stored somewhere, and people are basically just waiting for the price of silver to get to a region where where it's worth to recycle those, right? At the moment, that's not really done, which I think is very unfortunate, and that's actually one of the major downsides of solar panels, that they don't get recycled right now. But then again, you could at least recycle it. If you look at like windmills and stuff like that, the stuff that they are building over here in Europe, you can't recycle that. That's just fiberglass. You have to bury that. And I don't know which idiot came up with that idea when you could just use aluminum or something like that for that. But yeah, that's way, 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 way worse. So there's that. Another question that everyone's kind of been waiting for: will silver get replaced completely? No, of course not. I don't know how you gathered that. I mean, the only thing I said is that it needs to be replaced in the solar industry because otherwise that industry is basically, you know, not going to be able to supply the demand in the future. But that doesn't mean that you can just replace it in all of its other 40,000 something uses that silver has nowadays. You simply can't. And why would you? There is enough silver for some of them, like for most of them actually, because silver is used in very, very small quantities usually, which makes it a very stable metal for the future. But I don't know how some people gathered this whole silver is going to get replaced completely from me just saying the solar industry needs another solution for it. That's somewhat of a funny thing when you've got like a one-sided dialogue where people can't ask questions directly. That's why I'm doing this video. And I really don't think that it's a good idea to just go ahead like, oh, yeah, well, silver's gonna get replaced then. No, please not, no. It just needs replacement in major silver demanding industries because there's just not enough silver on this planet. And that's, in my opinion, the main problem that people didn't understand. I'm not roasting silver. I'm not saying that silver is something bad or whatever, that it's going to be replaced or whatever. It wouldn't have to be replaced if it wasn't so rare. But please understand that it being rare is not a bad thing for the price. Like, sometimes I really don't understand the thought process some people have. But hey, that's why we're talking about it, right? Because everyone can have like a little bit of a weird train of thoughts, and you know, that's why we're talking about it. And some people in the comments also told me stuff that I didn't think about. So I think that's very important, and I think that we can really get somewhere here. So yeah, that's basically it from my side. I really hope that most of you now understood what I meant with that and why I think that silver absolutely has to be replaced in some industries and how it will get replaced in those. Now, the thing that we now have to see is when that's gonna happen and in which extent and what and yada yada yada. You know what I mean. So there's nothing set into stone yet. We just have to wait and see, okay? There's no need to get angry about anything. We can talk about everything, but this is my opinion, and your opinion can of course be vastly different. I don't mind that at all, because freedom of speech is very important, and freedom in general also is. So, if you've got nothing better to do today, might as well go ahead and put some stuff towards your freedom, because that's the only thing that is really hard to get back once you lose it. So there you go. With that said, I think we're gonna end it here. I really hope you enjoyed today's video. If you've got any more questions whatsoever, be sure to write them in the comments below. I'd be very happy to answer them. As always, if you want to, you can rate the video with either like a thumbs up or a thumbs down, whatever you might want to do. And if you want to, you can also subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss any other videos. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. Have a fantastic week, and until next time.